let's now have a project, new project CSE114 S17 midterm solution. How about that? And finish. And let's just create the tester first. And I'm going to do output one by one with you. So now let's go to new and then class. Shop tester. And with the main method. Finish. Okay. So let's try the very first output. Okay. So now let's just get this done. System.out.println. Then just put some separator here. And we can just copy and paste later. Okay, this is number one. Okay, the first one is about the order. Let's just put the things first. You wouldn't compile, but we'll make it compile in just moments. Order O is assigned to new order. So now you can see that somehow it suggests there should be a class called order, and the order over here is a constructor for the class. You can we see that it actually takes 3 arguments: a string, Americano, and also some double value. It must be double since it got a fractional part. And over here it has 2. Okay, first of all, you should see that we should have a class called order. And since we are trying to use the constructor over here, so the constructor must have 3 parameters. The first one being a string, the second one being a double, and the third one being an integer to initialize the 3 attributes accordingly. Okay, that's something you should note. And then we can do something like this. We can say system.out.println, and then you can say o.get. So o is now the context objects, right? Get products. System.out.println o.get price, and system.out.println we got o.get quantity. Okay, you can see that somehow the method name suggests very clearly what kind of attribute you should get, right? You got products, you got price, you got quantity. You can also refer once you get your midterm paper back, you'll read the problem description again. Let's first see what's the expected output, okay, and then we can program. If you go back there, for the first one there, the expected output is like this. So we should get Americano 4.7 and 2, right? So which means for this line here, they should be Americano, the products. For this line here, that should be 4.7. For this line here, quantity should be 2. So it's quite obvious. We need 3 attributes, and we need the 3 accessor methods. Okay, I'll show you how you can do it. Okay, so now let's create a new class called order. Order here, and we should get all the attributes being privates for encapsulation. Okay, private string product, and also we have another double here, which is price. Price, private double and price. Privates, and also we have quantity, integer. First of all, let's create a constructor. You can see that the constructor has, the order is very important. String, followed by double, followed by integer. Okay, so that's what we can do. Order, constructor here. String, I don't want to come up with new name. I can say product here. Products, and double, price, integer, quantity. Okay, so now I gotta use this keyword to disambiguate. This dot products is assigned to products. This dot price is assigned to price. This dot quantity is assigned to quantity. Okay, so now I want to show you one thing. You should know this from your study, from the video. So now if I say, rather than get products, if I say products over here, you can see that it wouldn't compile, even though I got an attribute called products in the order class, because it was private. Private means you can only access the attribute within that class, no other classes. Okay, something to note. So what we should do is we should create the accessor methods accordingly. So now you got two choices. If you type very fast, you can just type it out. I will show you how you can generate them automatically in Java. Actually, I showed that very quick, maybe once or twice in the lab. I'll show you again. Okay, it's easy. Basically, just select the attributes you would like to create the accessor methods. Okay, select them. In this case, all the three. Right click, and then go to source, and you can go to generate getters and setters. You see that? Okay, go there. So now, can you just expand all the three over here? So now I want to generate get price, generate get products, and generate get quantity. Let's not worry about setters yet. It's not required by this midterm. Okay, and we can and also we want to put them after the constructor. We can say insertion point after the constructor. Say OK, done. Okay, that's kind of the time-saving mechanism in Eclipse. So maybe in the makeup test, the makeup lab test or lab test 3, you can just generate these automatically. Don't need to type. You can save your time. Okay, so now everything just compiles. Why don't we just try that? If you execute your code, and that's exactly what's expected. Okay, so we're done with output number 1. Okay, any question about output number 1? Okay, should be quite straightforward, right? Okay, let's go on. Let's go back to tester here. Now I want to do number 2. Number 2 is a little bit long, okay? But we'll just type it out first. So number 2. Number 2 here, we say member. Again, we need a class called member. Alan is new member 20.0. It's a double. It seems like the member constructor is going to take one single parameter, which is double. And then I also got some comments there for you. I just write it here. A member with initial balance 20.0, which means every member has some account balance, and then we make it 20.0. Right? It's like you're getting a car from the coffee shop. You can add some money to it initially, right? That's money, like real life. And then we can say system dot out dot print line. We have Alan dot get ID. Again, whenever you have the getter method, you can presume there might be just an attribute called ID, right? And then that's why you're getting it. For 114, you can think it that way. And then we have system dot out dot print line. And then you have Alan dot get balance. So far, I will pause here just for now. So that means we need 2 attributes. We need ID, we need balance. These 2 things. And one thing, balance is easy, just a double value. But what about ID? So let's just go back to the problem here. I'll show you the sentence you got to pay attention to. Okay. If you go back to the midterm description over here, we say that each member has a unique member ID. Member 1, member 2, member 3, and so on. And remember, when you study the static variable, we got account 1, ACC1, ACC2, ACC3. That's like an indicator. You should use a static variable in this case. Okay, let's handle these 2 attributes now, and then we go on with the rest of the output number 2. So now let's create a new class called member. Right click, new class member. So for member here, we got 2 attributes here. But now to really make sure every member has a unique ID, you need some static global counter, right? You can say static, let me just say the non-static first, integer ID, or string. It's going to be member 1, member 2, so it's actually a string. String ID. You can say every member has a unique ID. For example, member 1, member 2, etc. Okay? And we need a global counter to handle that. So every time when we create a new instance of type member, we can increment this global counter and use it as part of the ID. So we can say integer static, integer, I'll say GC, global counter. A global counter. Okay, and also we need a balance, double balance. Now let's go to the member constructor. So you can see that again from the shop tester. The member constructor will take only one argument, only one. So go back there. You can say member here, double balance. Okay, so we can say this balance is assigned to balance. And now, if you actually study the slides a bit, you should know how to do this, right? How do we construct the ID, which is a string, from the global counter? So the ID should be, we know all the member ID has this prefix, mem, plus the current value for the counter. And because you can see that from the problem, from the expected output, I'll show you that. From the expected output, the member ID start from 1. So we want to make sure the global counter start with 1. Okay, so that's why you should put 1 here. Okay, just a very starting value. Plus GC, and that's it. And then we can say GC plus plus. That's really important. Otherwise, GC always stay as 1. Okay, you want to make sure it's always incrementing. Okay, and that's about the constructor. So now we want to create two getters for ID and for balance. Let's just type it out. Okay, you can say string get ID, return this .id. Also, you have double get balance, return this balance. The this keyword here is not really mandatory, but I'm just writing that here just for clarity. Right? Okay, everything compiles. Why don't we do it? So the expected output should be mem1 and 20.0. Okay, let's see that. We do have that. Okay, let's continue with the tester. For tester, over here we have, okay, so this one here, we have something called order array. We do have the order class. Now we have an array of such objects. Order array, we say Alan orders is assigned to Alan dot get orders. So it seems like we need a method there for get orders. And then let's see some hints from this method here. So we have system.out.println. So we have Alan's number of orders, and that's simply the length of the array. Alan orders dot length. Okay, just the length of the array. And if you see from the expected output, you will see that it will simply be just 0. Okay, let's do this one first, and then we'll talk about the amount to pay. So apparently you can see that, also you can see from the problem description. Let me show you again. You can see that over here, they also give you hints how you should implement the class. Each member has a unique member ID and also a list of up to 30 current orders, right? That's the kind of pattern we are trying to follow. So which means initially you should create an array of 30 slots and then have some separate counter to keep track of how many orders you have, right? That's kind of pattern we've been talking about, okay? So let's go back to the Eclipse. Let's go to member, okay? Let's declare the attributes there. We can say, so the name of the attribute is completely up to you. Either way, we should really make this private, right? Okay. For static, you don't really have to worry about that being private or not. Okay, I think I just keep it like that. That's fine. I only care about the non-static variables. Okay. So now let's have orders. So order array, let's call it orders. And we say that a list of up to 30. So it's really important to keep it here. Okay. Orders is assigned to new order 30. Okay. And we can also add the order. We'll do that in just a moment. Okay. And now we should have a. So now if we go back here, let's have a look at here. So this line over here tells you that in the class member, there should be a method called getOrders. This method here takes no parameter, just empty. What does it return? It returns an array of order. So let's just get a signature right. Okay. Let's make sure things just compile first. If you go back to member over here, you can have a method here, returns an array of order, and called getOrders. Takes no parameter. Initially, it's to return null, just for now. Just make things compile. You can now see that everything just compile. But that's not useful, right? We want to make sure in the very beginning, when the number, oh, we also need a separate counter. Let me put it. So this should be private number of orders, integer, number of orders. Okay. Initially, the number of orders is simply just 0. We want to make sure somehow when the size of the array, the return type, corresponds to how many orders you have got so far, right? So let's say if initially n number of orders is 0, the return array should be of size 0. If NOO is actually 2, then the return array should be of size 2. Okay, that's kind of the idea. How do we do that? So now let me do it this way. So what I can do is this. I can say order array to, let's say current order, is new order array. So now I know that if no, let me tell you something that's wrong. If you simply say orders.length, this is wrong because you're just creating an array of 30 slots, but you may not have that many orders in the beginning, right? So what I should put here is NOO, okay? Number of orders. And then eventually you want to return that. Now the question is, how do we put in contents for this particular array, right? How do we do that? We can just run through the for integer I is assigned to 0, I less than number of orders, I plus plus. And then we can say current orders at position I is assigned to orders at position I. Notice that over here I must say NOO. I cannot say orders.length. Okay? Because now question for you to think about. Initially, NOO is just 0. What will happen to the loop? If number of orders is simply 0, which is the case we're dealing with right now, what's going to happen? I heard skips. Someone said skip, right? I'm not sure who said that. Or, did you say that? Oh, sorry. Anyway, so if NOO is simply just 0, initial value of I is 0, 0 less than 0, false, which means the state condition is false right away. So you will never execute this. That's right, because you just got empty array. When NOO is actually 1, you only run one particular iteration. So it's not the first order. I'll trace this one with you once we get that word again. So I'll trace that. What will happen? Answer, the state condition I is less than NOO becomes 0 less than 0, which is false. The loop is never executed. Okay, that's something for you to note. Okay, so now let's have a look. Go back to tester over here. Okay, now this one should do. Okay, Alan's number of order is 0. Okay, and the next one to do for number 2. Let's go back to number 2 here. We should have a double Alan pay. It's assigned to Alan.get amount to pay. So it's a new method to implement. Initially, because Alan has no orders, of course he pays nothing, just 0. System.out.println. And we can say Alan needs to pay Alan pay. Okay, you can see from the expected output there, it should be just 0. I'll show you here. It says that Alan needs to pay 0.0. Okay. So now let's see how we can implement this. The idea is somehow we have to go over. You can see that this kind of pattern goes on, repeats over and over. We have to go over the number of orders, the list of orders in the array. Right? So we do something similar. Double, you can see that this method here returns a double. Okay, so we can say double get amount to pay. Just get it right. Get amount to pay, yes. And then it takes no parameter. Okay, so what should we return? Again, I can say double amount. Initially just 0. I'll do something about it and then eventually return. So now up to this point, everything compiles. Okay, let's do the right thing here. I can say for integer I is assigned to 0, I less than number of orders I plus plus. Let's do a little bit more wordy way. Okay, I'll show you more details. I know that each slot in the array of orders stores an order object. So I can say order O is assigned to orders array at position I, first of all. And now how do I accumulate the price for this particular order? I should really get a price and get a quantity, multiply them, right? So what I should do is amount accumulated using addition. So I can say O.get price multiply O.get quantity. That's what I should do. Again, the same question here. Initially, NOO is simply just 0. What's going to happen to the loop? It's going to be skip, which means the amount remains to be 0, which is right. Okay? Okay, if you execute the code, that's what you will see. Needs to pay 0.0. Okay? Are we okay so far? Okay? Yeah. It really depends. When you got this kind of question, since you have a paper exam rather than lab test, if you do it in lab test, of course you can do output by output. But if I were you in the midterm or final, I would look through the tester first. Because somehow you may not necessarily have to 1 by 1. Because you will see that after I implement something here, somehow the output just works. Okay, so you really should study the test a little more carefully. But now since we are doing Eclipse, we can do just 1 by 1. What you can assume is I will give you not too much big surprise usually. So things must be something I taught or we did together, right? So if you think that's kind of similar to what you did in the class, you can just do it. Right? Pretty much that will be your solution. Okay, number 3. Let's go back to tester here, number 3. I'll draw some diagram for you in just a moment. We're gonna get add orders in a moment. So number 3, okay, just put it to the top. Okay, number 3 here, we have a new member. Member Mark, new member, and he got 40.0. That's the initial balance. We have done that already. All we got to do is, we're going to do something similar. I just copy and paste. Let's see what I can do. Mark orders. Okay, good. I can basically, can we just copy everything here? We're going to change the Alan to Mark. That's it. Copy that. Okay, let's be careful. Mark, let's copy Mark over here. Mark.getID. Mark.getBalance. Mark or orders. And then we can say Mark's number of orders should be Mark orders.length and also Mark pay. It should be Mark and Mark needs to pay Mark pay. Did I miss anything? Which line? Oh, I see that. Thank you. Good, good. And you'll be amazed. Everything just worked. If you execute it, wow, that's exactly what we expected. Okay, because we have done things properly in the first place. So things should work. Okay, let's now move on to number 4. Number 4, we're gonna add some order. Okay, number 4. Okay, for number 4 here, we say add order. So we need a new mutator, okay, which returns void. And then O. O is something that we defined previously over here, just the order. So now you can see that we need a method called addOrder, which returns void. And it will take only one parameter of type order. Okay, you can see that kind of information there. And then after that, we're going to say Allen orders is assigned to Allen.get orders. And then we're going to print it out. Okay, system.out.println Allen's number of orders. Allen orders dot length. Okay, just the length of the array. We should go back to say after adding the first order, so now this length should be 1 rather than 0. Okay, let's do this part first. Well, we know pretty well how we can add things into the array. So let's go back to member here. So now the important thing is to make the signature right. Since you can see that, so how do you know this is actually a mutator? You can see that I'm trying to follow the good principle I taught you in the class. You can see that this method called stands by itself. It is not being used to store into some variable or using the print statement. So it's got to be a mutator. That's why. Okay. So we can go to member here, and then we can say void add order, and it takes one parameter, order O, like that. So now we can say orders at position NOO, assigned to O, and NOO plus plus. Right, that's what we can do. Let's go back to shop tester here. So now everything compiles. And now if you just test, since we have done the get orders properly in the previous task, so now given that we also have done add order properly, now we should get the expected output. Execute the code. Allen's number of orders is just 1. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Let's go to the next one. And we want to check for individual order. Okay. What we will get is this. Okay, go back to tester here. So now number 4, so we can say order Allen order 1 is assigned to Allen the array orders, because we know the length is 1. So there's got to be something at index 0. And let's try to do print something about it. Okay, system.out.println. Okay, so products of Allen's first order. Okay, you can say Allen order 1 dot get products. Okay. All right. Okay, so far. Okay, let me just copy this line here. So we can say price of Allen's first order. So we can say get price. Paste it again. We have quantity of Allen's first order. We can say get quantity. Okay, get quantity here. Okay, and then finally we can say get the amount to pay. So double Allen. Oh, we don't need to redeclare. Just Allen pay is Allen.get amount to pay. System.out.println. Allen needs to pay Allen Okay, so let's try that. The expected output should be something like this. So products should be Americano 4.7, 2, and 9.4. Okay, let's try that. You've executed. Yep, that's exactly what you're expecting. Okay. I think eventually I'm going to draw some diagram on the board. Maybe we can trace that. But let's just now finish the coding. Okay, I'll draw some diagram to you at the end. Any questions until now? Let me know. Okay. So now let's go to number 5. Oh, one thing I want to show you. Okay, you can see that over here we say Allen orders is actually an array, and then we simply store whatever that's returned from Allen that get orders into this array. Okay, I can give you a slightly different different way of writing it. Okay, just to show you. So now, when I say Allen's number of orders, right? I can have another way to write it. You can say system.out.println. Allen's number of orders the same, but I'm going to show you a different way of writing it. So rather than saying Allen orders.length, I can say Allen.getOrders.length. It's equivalence. I just don't have that intermediate variable to store that array. I just use that array directly. Okay. You can just learn this expression here. I'll just put the original one in the comments. Okay, you can use that as well. Let me show you one more. How about this one here? This one can be a little bit more complicated, right? So somehow I don't want to have this intermediate variable here. I want to use Allen.getOrders. How do I do that? Okay, let's do that quickly. Let me copy this line here. So I'm going to say Allen.getOrders. And then at position 0. Okay, maybe I will explain this line very quickly on the board to you. So what I'm writing here is this. Allen orders, which is an array at position 0, which is in order, dot get products. It's a very complicated expression here, but let's try to understand that. Let's analyze one by one. Allen here is of type member. Okay. Allen.getOrders is going to return an array. Order array. And then I'm trying to get to position 0 of this array here. Good. Over here, I'm getting an order. And get products is actually a method that's defined in the order class. So this one also makes sense. So finally, if you say order and then you call the get products, it's going to give you a string. That's why the whole thing is going to give you a string. But that's a powerfulness about the documentation. You can see we're using 2 dots over here. Try to understand. So you shouldn't be too surprised in the makeup test if I give you something like this in the test code. I might give you something like that, rather than having some intermediate variables. So please do study this expression. Okay? Okay, let's go back to number 5. Okay, number 5 over here. Okay, number 5. We also can add order, but it's like another add order. So we have Allen.add order. But now it's going to take 3 things. Cafe, latte, 5.5, and 1. You see, the add order we defined before takes only 1 parameter, but this one takes 3. It's basically like a different method, basically. We're going to define that. But it's going to do the same thing. Let's do that first. How do we do that? So now let's go to the add order we have. I'm going to show you something you may not have thought about. Okay. So void add order over here is going to take 3 things. The reason that it takes 3 things is because to create an order object, you need 3 information. You need the products, you need the price, you need the quantity, right? So now let's do that. String, I'll say P for products. Maybe I'll say, yeah, just spell it out. And then we have double price, and also we got integer quantity. So now how would you do this? I will show you one way. Okay, one way is by saying we just want to create the order first. You can say order O is assigned to new order, and then products price quantity, and then orders do exactly what this will do. You can just copy that. This is one way of doing it. However, you can see that the last 2 lines of this code here is exactly what the add order, the previous version we just defined, would do. Why don't we just call it as a helper method? I'll show you how you do it. Okay? So what I can do is I can comment this out. I can simply just say add order O. This might be something useful for you to follow, for your assignment or for your projects. But you know what? I may not think about doing this in the first place. Is after I have defined the 2 lines I put in comment, I realized there might be some repetition here. That's why I'm calling it to help me, so I don't have to repeat the code. You should really try to do this kind of practice as much as possible. I can just save you efforts. Also, avoid mistakes. Okay, you should choose either one, but not both. Okay, that's good. So now let's go back to shop tester here. So now we're gonna ask about Alan's order. Okay. Okay, I got it. Okay. So can we do some copy here? Okay. Something like this. Okay, just copy here. So starting from Alan's number of orders, we're gonna change something after we copy and paste. Okay. Paste. Okay, let's be careful here. Alan's number of orders is going to be alan.getOrders.length. That's good. To avoid distraction, can we just, sorry about that. So can we just take this line out? Okay. Alan's number of orders, in this case, we know we have added 2 orders so far. Oh, I beg your pardon. I deleted wrong place. Okay. Let me do it again. So now, number 5. Okay. For number 5, we want to delete this line here. Okay. In case you get lost, you can also watch the video I'm recording. Okay. So now Alan's number of orders should be this. Now, Alan has 2 orders. Okay. Like that. Alan order 1 will be order at position 0, product of Alan's first order. Okay, that one's fine. Okay, the products, price, and quantity of the first order. And since the array is of size 2, since we got 2 orders, okay, so I'm going to do something similar. I'm going to do something like this. Can we just copy these 4 lines? Okay, these 4, and paste. Now let's get order number 2. So what I can say is order Alan order 2, position 1. Okay. So products of Alan's second order. And second order here, second order here. So now Alan.getOrders at position 1. Alan order 2. Alan order 2. And finally, we got Alan's needs to pay and get amount to pay. They should be okay. Okay, that's number 5. And the expected output should be something like this. So now that's what we have. Number 5 over here. The first order should be Americano 4.7 and 2. The second order should be Cafe Latte 5.5, 1, and 14.9. Okay, let's see that. Oh, that's not good. Let's see what we should do. The quantity Allen orders, let me see, Allen orders. Since I did not update that, yeah, that's why. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Can I just do this? I forgot to type this. Allen orders, I forgot to update that. It's assigned to Allen.get orders. Okay, that's something I missed from the instructions. Okay. Nothing to do with the solution. Okay, just I forgot to do this. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, 2 orders, Americano 4.72, Cafe Latte 5.5, 1, and 14.9. Okay, it's working. That's number 5. Yeah. Which one? Shop tester? Yes. Which part? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, I think we're done with member. We just need to get a shop. Okay, okay, let's now go to number 6. No shop tester here. Number 6 over here. Okay, so now we say shop. Every shop has a list of up to. Let's see. Let's go back to the problem statement here. We say that every shop has up to 100 members, which means the size of the array should be 100 as opposed to 30 for the member, right? Okay. So shop Holly's new shop. You can see that constructor does not take anything. So that means we only have to initialize the array, nothing else. Okay. So now let's go to create a new class called shop. New class shop. Okay. Private. We're gonna have a list of members. Members. And to keep track of that, we need a separate counter, right? Private number of members, which is integer. Okay, let's define a constructor over here. And we'll say shop takes nothing here. We can say member is assigned to new member, 100. Okay, let's go back to shop tester here. And we do have something called get members. So get members is very similar to get orders, very similar. Okay, because now currently there are no members, so the array should be empty. So we'd say member over here, members is assigned to Holly's.get members. Okay, we'll define that in just a moment. Let's see what we expect from there. We'd say system.out.println number of members. Members.length. Okay, let's get the get members done. Okay, it will be done in a very similar way as how we did for get orders. Very similar. Okay, let's go to shop over here. Let's have that. It's going to return a member array, and then members. Get members. Takes no arguments, and then we can say member. Let's say current members. Is assigned to new member, and we should use NON rather than the length of the array, right? Eventually, we want to return the current members. Okay, and we should just run a loop for integer I, 0i less than number of members I plus plus. And then we can say current members position I is assigned to members position I. You can see it's very similar to how we did for get orders. In case you still got trouble of writing this kind of loop, you can go back to the additional note I prepared for you for point collection. Right? It's explaining in detail how you do something. Okay, good. Let's now test it. Number 6, number of members is just 0. Okay, that's easy. The next, we somehow want to check if a particular member is there. Let me type let me go back to tester here. Okay, the next one is system.out.println. We say Alan is a member, true or false. Let's see how we did it. We say Holly's, which is a shop, dot has member. So that's a new method to define. Has member is a method in shop. What does it take? So here we say Alan dot get ID. Okay. So now it seems like you should take a parameter of type string because ID should be a string. So first of all, let's say if you were in the midterm, how were you supposed to know ID should be a string? There were actually hints to you. If you go back to the problem description there, you can see that I say ID should be member 2, member 3 in quotes. That means they are strings. Okay? So now that means given a string, is that an existing member ID in the shop? If it is, it should be true. If it is not, that should be false. Okay? So now that's what we can do. Let's go to has member. Let's go back to the shop class over here. Okay? How do we do that? So now if you recall, remember in one of the lab sessions, I actually wrote a lot on the board about how you can use helper method, right? How you can check if we have some existing objects in some array, right? Let me show you the most effective way of doing this. You can also study the code. Okay? I'm going to use a helper method here. First of all, I'm going to use a helper method over here. Okay, which given a string, if it corresponds to the ID of some existing member, return the index of members. Return the corresponding index of members. Otherwise, return -1. Okay, let's see how we can define this method here. So now this is a helper method. It's not really required by the midterm, but somehow to be a better style. You can see that it will save a lot of coding later on. So we're going to say integer. You can say index of member. Okay, string ID. So basically, we're going to go over all the members currently to see if any one of them has this ID. If they do have it, return that index of the member. Otherwise, returns -1. -1 cannot be a valid index. That means the member does not exist. Okay? So integer index is initially -1. Return eventually the index. Now we're going to run the loop. For integer I is 0i less than number of members I plus plus. Okay. Member n is the current members we're looking at. Like that. Okay. We want to say if m dot get ID dot equals the ID we're looking for, right? This is the ID that we're looking for. ID and ID over here. If they are equal, then we should assign index to be I. Okay. For example, let's say this. Let's say now in the shop, let's say this is the members array. Right? We got up to 100 members. 0 and 1, 2, etc. up to 99. Now let's say we got 2 members. So we have one member object here. Then that member has ID, mem1. And this one here, member ID, mem2. Let's say we got 2 members over here, right? So now if you try something like this, if you say index of member, if you say mem2, what this will do is it's going to go over this array here, and also the number of members currently will just be 2, right? Got 2 members here. So we're going to go through the array for 0 and 1. In the first iteration, this dot ID is mem1, which is not equal to this. So we go to the second iteration. And now, for the second member object we're looking at, this ID here matches this ID here. So we're going to assign 1 to the return value. So we're going to return 1. Okay. This returns 1. On the other hand, if I call the same method, index of member, if I say mem10, well, there's no such ID, right? Because if you go through that mem1, mem2, none of them matches mem10. So this will return also something, -1, because it doesn't exist, right? So now we can use this method for many other methods actually. So let's try that. First of all, the one we want to define is called hasMember. So Boolean hasMember string ID. So now, of course, what you could have done is you can run a similar loop over here. However, we can now, since we got this helper method already, why don't we try that? The easiest way, the shortest way to write this would be return index of member ID larger than or equal to 0. That's the shortest way. I'll show you a slightly longer way. Maybe that's a little bit more understandable. That's the shortest way you can write. I'll comment this out. You can say integer index is index of member ID. Okay, and then you can say Boolean member exists. It exists if ID member exists is whether or not index is larger than or equal to 0. If it is larger than or equal to 0, that means the member exists. Otherwise, it does not exist, right? And now you can say return member exist. If you find a second way more understandable to you, feel free to use it. That's absolutely fine. Right? Okay, that's about how you can use hasMember. Okay, let's go back to shop tester over here. So now basically we're checking if Alan is a member and Mark is a member. Okay, can we also copy this line here and also try this? Mark is a member. Holly is that has a member, Mark, that get ID. So Alan should have ID mem1. Mark should have mem2. But the problem is, so far we haven't added any member yet. So it's empty, right? So both should be false. Yeah, both should be false. Okay. Okay, that's about number 6. Okay, let's go to number 7. Okay, for number 7 here, so we have something called add member. So now Hollies.add member, which takes just one argument, Alan. So now it should be obvious to you. The parameter type of add member should be member, right? So let's try that. And you know pretty well how to do it. Okay, let's go to shop. Over here, let's have another method here. Void add member. Member n. We can say members at position number of members is assigned to n. Number of members plus plus. That's it. Okay. And we go back to shop tester here. We add member Alan and also Hollies.add member Mark. So 2 members for the coffee shop. And also we can now do something like before. Members, copy this. Oh, sorry. Members.Hollies.get members. So now it should be an array of size 2 rather than 0. After this, we can ask about number of members. Now, can we just copy this line here? Number of members. Okay. The number of members, let's try that. Number of members is 2. Okay, let's ask something more, but since the array is of size 2, why don't we ask about what is the ID of member number 1? What is the ID of member number 2? Okay, let's do that. System.out. Okay, let's see this. Member 1's ID, which means members at position 0 dot get ID. Okay, and let's copy this line here. Also member 2, since the array is of size 2. So here we can say 1. Now I want to show you again a slightly more complicated way of writing things, right? Just equivalent way. What we can say instead is Hollies.get members at position 0 dot get ID. Okay, very similar to what I put on the board. Very similar. Okay. That's something you should really get used to. Okay, let's try that. So the first member should be mem1. The second one should be mem2. Mem1 and mem2. Okay. Next. So we have. Let's check the membership. Can we copy these 2 lines from the previous one? Alan is a member, Mark is a member. Okay, copy that. Now, it should be true and true because both are now members. Okay. Alan is a member, true. Mark is a member, true. Okay, 7 is done. Now, let's go to number 8. Okay. Number 8, over here, we're getting there. We only got 9. Okay, getting there. Okay, so now let me put a comment as well. We say that we want to charge an existing member. Deduct their balance. Okay, one thing I want to show you, when you read the problem statement a little bit more carefully. Okay, let's read this sentence together. Given a member ID, if it exists, we may check out that member's current orders, which means we want to pay for that particular customer, by doing several things: deducting their balance and clearing their charge orders accordingly. How do we clear the orders? I'll show you. It's incredibly easy, it turns out. I'll show you. Okay? But let's worry about one thing at a time. How do we charge an customer? So we say Hollies dot check out. It seems like a new method. Alan dot get ID. You can see this method here is a mutator. it takes only one parameter of type string because we won't simply pass the ID, right? Okay. We want to do this for Alan. We also want to do this for Mark. Okay. And now, okay, let's now go to define this method here. Let's go to shop over here. I want to have a method here called checkout. Void checkout. By the way, O is capital. Okay, checkout, which takes one parameter, string ID. So now basically this is how it works. If the member ID exists, we're going to charge that member. If the ID doesn't exist, do nothing, right? Because let's say currently we have only 2 members. If you say, now I want to check out for member 2, of course, go to the corresponding orders and charge them. If you say check out man 10, there's no such a member, just don't do anything. And so these are 2 cases. So now, so you can see that to define which action to take, we want to know if ID exists or not. Again, we can use the method that we just defined, the helper method, right? Let's see how we can do that. Integer index, you will find that index is very useful. Index of member ID. If index is less than 0, non-existing member ID, do nothing. Otherwise, the ID is larger than or equal to 0. Oh, sorry, the index. Larger than or equal to 0. In this case, we can charge the member. Okay, how do we charge the member, right? So now, you may want to do something like this. Okay, we know that every member here has a balance. However, balance is private. So you may try to do something like this, but it wouldn't work. I'll show you. So now we can say double to pay is, first of all, so which member are we talking about? Since it's whatever the index corresponds to, right? So we can say member n is members at position index. That's the member we are talking about, right? That's in the members array. How much to pay? And get amount to pay. And then, if you try to do something like this, if you try to do n dot balance is assigned to n dot balance minus to pay. It kind of makes sense. You want to decrease the balance, but that wouldn't work. Why? You can look at that. Balance is private. Okay, first of all, let's understand why you cannot do it. So how should we do it? Well, you can just define a method to do it, right? You can either do a set balance method, or you can do a withdraw method. I'll show you. Okay? So let's go to member over here. Since we're trying to decrease the balance, why don't we just have a method of void withdraw? So this is not really suggested by the tester, but that's kind of required for you to complete, given that all the attributes are private. Withdraw certain amount, double amount. And then you can say this dot balance minus equal amount. Of course, just define a simple method. Okay. Let's go back to shop. So now rather than saying this would not work. Okay. We can say m dot withdraw to pay. Okay, so far we just deduct the balance for that particular member. But how do we clear the orders? Okay. Clear the orders. Okay, I'll leave this for now. Okay, there's only one line I need to write here. I'll do that in just a moment. Okay. So now let's just go back to tester over here. And after checkout, what do you want to print out? You can say what we have in the tester is, we say system.out.println. We say, let me see this. Okay, member with ID. Okay. Okay, we're just doing escape sequence with ID and you know what? This line is kind of I'll type it out and then maybe I'll be careful here. Member with ID man3 exists, and then Hollies that has member Are you okay with typing this line? Should I send you to Kako chat? Maybe I should do that, right? Let me do that. Well, for people who didn't come, they'll have no idea what this means. But it doesn't matter. They shouldn't know. They don't need to know. Okay, just copy and paste that line. Okay, basically this one just checking that we are trying to do some non-existing member. Okay, and now we also do Hollies.checkout man3. Okay, first of all, this should give us false, right? Because man3 does not exist. We only got man1 and man2. Okay, and now after this, we have system.out.println Alan's, after checking out for Alan, Alan's new balance is plus Alan.get balance. And also we want to get a new balance for Mark as well. Mark's new balance is Mark the balance. For what we have done so far, number 8 should be okay. Okay, that's why I will postpone the last line in the checkout method, maybe for the next output. Let's try that. You can see that over here, Mark didn't put any order, so that remains to be 40.0. And for Alan, it's 14.9, right? And then he actually got 20 in the beginning, so that's why it's 5.1 left. Okay, and also member 3 does not exist, that's why it's false. Okay, that's pretty much what we expected. Okay, final one, the final one. Number 9. So let's now do number 9. Number 9 here. System.out.println. Oh no, not this one. Beg your pardon. You should have Alan orders Alan.get orders. At this point, if we want to get the orders from Alan, it will still be 2, right? Even though after we're checking out. But it shouldn't be 2 anymore. Since after he paid, the order should be cleared, right? That's something we should understand, okay? System.out.println Alan's number of orders Alan orders.length. So now let's try that. Currently it will give me 2. That's wrong. It should be 0 because we already checked out. Okay. I'll show you how to do it. It's only one line implementation, but let's get the tester done first. And then Alan pay is assigned to Alan.get amount to pay. System.out.println Alan needs to pay. Alan pay. And let's execute again. Even though after he paid, he still got to pay 14.9. That doesn't make sense, of course. Okay. Now let's see how we can change that. Okay. This is how I think of it. If you go back, so now we basically want to make sure get orders return an empty array. We want to make sure get amount to pay returns 0 after checking out. But how do we make that happen? Okay. Let's go back to the member class over here. If you look at get orders, remember what I said before. If the number of orders is 0, that means the loop is going to be skipped, right? And also, the return array will be size 0. If you look at the other method, get amount to pay, if the number of orders is also 0, then that means the loop will be skipped. You accumulate nothing on top of the amount. That's kind of the thinking process. So that means to clear the orders, we do not really have to touch the array itself. We only have to make sure we assign the number of orders back to 0. That's all we gotta do. Okay. Now let's go back to shop here. I'll document the thinking process for you. In member class, since the size of in the member class, in method get orders, the size of array, return array, depends on the value of number of orders. In method get amount to pay, the number of order values to be accumulated also depends on the value of NOO. So to clear the orders, we just have to default the number of orders to 0. That's all we got to do. That's kind of the rationale. You can study that and let me know if you got trouble. Okay, how do we do that? If you simply try this, m dot number of orders assigned to 0, that wouldn't work because the attributes is private. How do you set it to 0? Well, why don't you just create a method for doing that? Okay. So what we can do is go back to member class over here. Let's just have another method here. Void clear orders. And this does only one single thing. Number of orders assigned to 0. And that's it. So this might be one of the few things you might just learn, right? From today's tutorial. I think that's kind of interesting. You don't really have to touch the array itself. You only have to change the way you run through the things. You know that this something. Okay, let's go back there and then call that method and check the output. Okay. This would not work. Okay. So now we can say m.clear orders, and that's it. Okay. Let's now execute it. Yep. Now we have default everything back to empty order for the member. Okay, that's it. You see, I used less than 90 minutes, including all the explanation. You guys used about 90 minutes, right? Well, anyway, should be no comparison, right? Okay. Anyway, that's the solution. Any questions? I would say, since I go over the solution with you very carefully, I might just base the Midterm S2 on this. Similar. So I would say, since that's just another case study for you. So you want to study assignment 5 solution very carefully, study the midterm solution very carefully, or study everything else very carefully. Let me stop the recording here. I will make the source code available for those who didn't come.